Hey everyone. Welcome back. I wanted to do a little bit of different video today. I've been diving into how I've been feeling about going back to school for a while, and with getting my summer schedule and it now being July, it's a bit easier for me to digest the reality of this question as it's not actually as far away as what it's originally felt. I've done this a little bit differently than what I have for many other videos. I usually don't write a script. I usually don't write anything down. It's whatever is coming up in that moment that gets into the video. I decided that this time I would kind of organize my thoughts into a document. So if you see my eyes kind of going up and down, it's because I am reading what I typed. Now, getting into this is still in the future, but I think it is starting to sink in a little bit more now. I have also had the time to really dive into these feelings recently as it's starting to sink in that things are just going to be very different in just a very few short weeks at this point. The end of August, which is when I start my program, is going to come really fast. So I'm filming this on July 6th, I believe. It's Saturday today. Yeah, I know I do videos like right up to the last second, but I wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to really get my thoughts together about this. And I'm actually using the space that I'm going to be using for my program. So I have a video about my setup and kind of why I have a little bit more of a setup for my particular school. I also kind of talk about why I need a really nice setup. And actually this works out really well. I almost want to set this as the third memory because this is actually a perfect height. I might actually do that. All right, we're done. We got that set. I wanted to share my feelings about this because I've had a little bit more of the ability to process it, and I can definitely tell that it's starting to come up more and more in kind of how I feel every single day. Getting into the first section here, this time honestly feels so different. So, as you may or may not know, I mean, I'm kind of giving it away today, but I have a degree in biochemistry, so this is not my first time pursuing post-secondary education. I worked very, very hard for that degree, and particularly a lot of it was in the very last stretch when I was actually sick with what turned out to be IIH. But at that time, I didn't really know what was going on. Why does this feel so different? Is I honestly think it's because I know what I'm getting into. When it comes to everything I'll be exposed to in school, I don't really know what to expect in terms of a lot of it. But I have done a lot of this already as a part of my current job. I've honestly fallen in love with it as well. Yes, it's stressful at times, and yes, adding more responsibility will add to that, but I can't really explain how I feel while I'm at work. It's really doing something that I really enjoy. I honestly don't know if I'll end up in retail or doing something else that I might be introduced to later that I haven't had the opportunity to explore. But knowing what I already know, it's extremely exciting knowing that I'm going to love whatever I'm going to be doing. And the fact that I already love this part so much and the opportunity to be able to learn different areas of where pharmacy technicians can be just provides that basis that, yes, I really do enjoy this. And unlike my degree, which I really didn't know what comes after the education part, this is being trained for a very specific role. And there's not as much generic learning involved. A lot of the generic stuff is at the start to make sure that we have the skills that we need to be able to have with math and all of that to be able to do the program. And it helps knowing that you have something to aim for and there's kind of a direction and a huge demand in, at least in Canada, there's a very large demand for pharmacy technicians. It's in very, very high demand. I know that a lot of the times I keep hearing we just can't have enough pharmacy technicians graduate. And I can see that because I'm in retail and it's very, very hard to find registered pharmacy technicians when you actually do need one. Okay, so that's kind of the more kind of prospects of this. But I do want to dive into something that I really do feel is important that I need to talk about because this excitement obviously comes with some nerves. Although I gotta be honest with you, if I didn't have nerves or butterflies, I'd be a little bit worried that I didn't care enough about this. I am a little bit nervous just because of the bad place I found myself in at the end of my degree. I've mentioned this briefly, but I've experienced really bad, severe student burnout at the end of my degree, and I actually covered this in really old videos. I honestly don't think all of it was because of the actual fatigue, though I've kind of dove into this or kind of looked into this a little bit inwardly. And there was some of it that was because I truly didn't enjoy some of the classes I was taking. The part of biochemistry that I really liked was basically the molecular biology and genetics part of it. I hated the rest of it. So I hated the proteins and anything to do that was too much like organic chemistry. And there's quite a bit of it. So biochemistry is basically just organic chemistry in humans for a lot of it. So there's a lot of organic chemistry. Any of you who have been in the medicine field who have had to take organic chemistry knows how much organic chemistry is just really hard to learn. It's basically pure memorization to the point of what are the different types of reactions. But after that, it is a little bit more logical because they do follow particular patterns. I actually took organic chemistry in my first year of university because of the kind of the track I was on. And I wasn't ready for it and I didn't know how to study for it. I kind of figured out how to study for it going into biochemistry as a major, but it's not my favorite topic to study. Honestly, I would have majored in molecular biology or molecular biochemistry or some type of genetics if it had been offered, honestly. It took me months to come out of the exhaustion after I finished. I really did get to the point where learning wasn't fun at all. And my degree became more about let's just get this done so I can graduate and leave because I don't have any more left in me. I actually honestly love learning and gaining new skills. It's when I get bored or find things too easily that I want to try something different. And this is the one thing about pharmacy that doesn't really happen. Pharmacy is constantly changing, even when it feels like everything is kind of staying the same day to day. It's a little bit hard to explain, but you have different drugs going generic all the time. You've got different changes to pharmacy legislation that are coming in pretty much yearly, sometimes even more than that. It's just really hard to explain how the things are constantly changing and you're constantly learning. Like, even though some of the things that you do every day in terms of skills, such as counting out pills or whatever, I have my counting tray just sitting here because it needs to stay here for school. When you're just counting out pills or whatever, it can maybe seem like more of a monotonous thing, but you're never ever filling the exact same type of set of prescriptions anyways. So there's always a little bit of, variation to the repetitiveness of the job. Now, there are certain things that I do that I find extremely repetitive that I do kind of do on autopilot at this point. And I actually find it quite meditative and relaxing, but some people will probably find that really difficult. So it is a little bit hard to explain this. You guys will kind of get to see that hopefully throughout my program. But in terms of like just sitting here and me talking about it, it's not really going to make a lot of sense unless you have experience with it. So all I've ever wanted is to have a career I can enjoy. And this is the first time that I can actually answer the question, can I do this for my entire career and still be happy? Now, actually getting into this part about career, when I got sick with IIH, this was one of the things that I was grappling with the grief. I didn't know or maybe felt deep inside that the possibility of even getting back to a job, even a part-time job, was out of reach at that point. I am so thankful that I even have this opportunity because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we're almost coming up. I think it's more like, what was it, 2018? I think it's pretty much 6 years ago now that I didn't really think this was possible anymore. I didn't really think the opportunity of me finding a career I would enjoy would be possible because of how sick I was. So this is a big deal. And it's kind of been one of my life dreams is to have a career that I really do enjoy, which I'm going to get into in this. Like I said, I can actually finally answer the question, can I do this for my entire career and still be happy? And it's not just about how much I'm going to get paid either when it comes to answering this question. I'm actually okay when it comes to being comfortable with income. So for me to be happy, want to be able to survive, obviously, but either to put a little bit away for retreat, go on vacation, travel a little bit. That would be my ideal. Like I don't need anything really fancy, and I don't find joy in or happiness in the fanciest material items. Most of all, the biggest thing is I don't want to be sitting on the couch upset because I have to go to work tomorrow. How many people just sit on the couch and feel terrible emotions because they have to start another week at work tomorrow? Or let's say you're in the middle of the week and you're thinking about, oh, I gotta go to work tomorrow. I don't want to go. I'd say this is pretty much everybody. And what would life be like if it didn't need to be like that? Every job has things that we don't enjoy, of course, but if most of it or majority of it is enjoyable, it's a bit easier at the end of the weekend to go, okay, I can actually do this. Yes, I have times I don't want to be at work, but when I'm there and in the present moment of everything that's happening, which can be sometimes utter chaos in the pharmacy, there's a flow state to it that I enjoy and I can't honestly describe. And it's fine to be there in that moment. Like, it's not like you're dreading it. And this feeling was actually the aha moment where I'm like, yes, I think when I get to do these certain things, this is what brings me joy. And that aha moment was the moment I realized it might be time actually for me to go to school. I was actually feeling a little bit unhappy because I hadn't really gotten to do some of the things that I enjoy at work for a while, just wasn't working out and all of that. It's really hard to explain. It's basically because for my role, I basically fill in where I'm needed. And sometimes I have to fill in for the areas of the job more that I don't enjoy as much compared to the stuff that I really, really do thrive off of. And that's what had been happening in December, January of this past winter was that happened. And then I got the chance to kind of go into the more of the role that and do the things that I really do love. It was just a switch. I want to get into another section that is kind of hard for me to talk about, but I think it's important that I mention it. And I've kind of titled this is the part of this that kind of sucks. And this part is because eventually it will mean I have to leave what I consider is a really good situation. The pharmacy and team that I work with are truly one of a kind. I don't know if any of them ever watch any of these videos, but if you guys are ever watching, I love you guys so much. I won't have to leave completely right away. It will mean moving on from a wonderful group of people who have not only been amazing teachers and mentors, but who I get along with so well. It's not going to be easy, but I do want to say this. If something is truly meant to be and you let it go, it often, I'm keeping this in too, you it often has a way of finding its way back to you. I don't want to not to go to school just because I'm in a really good situation. It's a little bit of a concern because you can end up in a not so great situation. Not every pharmacy is the same. Not every pharmacy has a wonderful team. And sometimes there's, bad situations out there. And actually, it's probably more common in some situations than others. I won't get into that, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, everything good does require sacrifice, including this. Here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to look back and think, what if I took that leap? What might have become of it? And just so you know, typing out this section, you know how I got emotional? I absolutely cried while typing this out last night. And again, if I'm tearing up now, it's because this is the worst part of it for me. There's so much positive. But that being said, this part is really, really hard. It's really, really difficult because it is kind of the sacrifice that I do have to make in order to make this jump. And I wish it didn't have to be like that. But unfortunately, for me to have the best opportunity, it's what unfortunately does have to be the case. I won't get into any other details on that, but it's for me to have the most opportunity and have the best potential in exploring everything that is available to me, I do have to leave the current situation, which I wish didn't have to be the case. So now you might be wondering, I've talked about my biochemistry degree. Do I regret it at all? And I honestly feel like it might have given me a leg into the pharmacy to begin with. Although I was technically an internal transfer, as I was already working at the store that the pharmacy actually is in, I often wonder if having it did help a little bit in the end. That being said, I will admit this out loud. If I had done what I'm doing now before going to university to begin with, I probably wouldn't have gotten a degree. I probably would have went right into pharmacy technician. You do not need to have a degree to go into pharmacy technician. You just need your high school and certain grades in certain classes. My biggest suggestion to people, especially if you're like in high school now, take all your math, take all your sciences, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because it will allow you to have the most opportunity in post-secondary to not have to go and upgrade classes and absolutely do the best you can in every single class. Grades are important. They're not everything, but they are important when it comes to especially Canadian schools. We don't have a standardized test to get into post-secondary education, and you basically just apply with your grades. It's kind of crazy actually. When I look at like videos of the process of applying to post-secondary education in the US, it's like that seems way too stressful. So, have I used my degree at all in the last couple of years? Is no, not really. I haven't used my degree much, maybe besides knowing how to use certain lab equipment or certain equipment like a scale or graduated cylinder. So sometimes you do actually have to make certain compounds in pharmacy. I'll be sharing that over my journey with this schooling as well, and kind of following a set of directions maybe. The one thing that may have helped me that I never did because I actually wasn't interested in this or didn't think I was interested in this when I was in school was I hadn't taken like medical terminology or medical abbreviations, and I hadn't taken any pharmacology either that would have made me familiar with drug names. So like everything that I've learned when it comes to like medication names and all of that, I've learned on the job. And it's been significant. I feel like in my first year actually working in the pharmacy that I learned as much like practically in that environment as I learned in my entire degree. Like the one thing I'll say about university is it's a lot of like studying from a book and all of that. And one of the things I'm actually looking forward to a lot is this is going to be really hands-on. So this is going to be a lot less out of a book and more like, here's the scenario. And I'm really actually quite looking forward to that part of it because I don't learn actually much when it comes to sitting. I'll learn stuff over time if I write it out and kind of get introduced and kind of how to apply something. But I don't really learn much just from passive studying. So I've definitely learned more hands-on, and I think we all do. I think I do kind of want to leave it there just because of time and all of that. If you guys have any more questions or kind of there's something that you want to know that I haven't covered, please let me know. I think that's it. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy these type of videos and you want to see what it's like as I go through pharmacy technician school starting in the fall, please do subscribe and turn on your notification bell. I am really honestly trying to get a video out every single Sunday right now. I can't guarantee that's going to continue to happen because I may not always have something that I want to share. As this gets closer, I'm kind of hoping to be able to even just like pick up the camera and go, this is how I'm feeling today, and this is the date and all of that. But this is kind of how I'm feeling right now, and I thought it was really kind of important for me to document kind of how I feel now, and then maybe I can do a comparison as I go throughout the program. So, like I said, I don't really know what I'm getting into, but I kind of do. You look forward to the stuff that you're going to be able to do, but you kind of are nervous at the same time because I don't I'm definitely a little bit concerned about being overwhelmed. That's, I think, it for this one, guys. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.